Hello YouTubers and welcome to Novus Talks with me, your host Novus Gorez. So in this episode, in this video rather, as I said I would be doing my last video, we're going to be doing an E3 2019 prediction. Now this video is going to be a lot of fun because I did this for E3 of last year and it turned out to be almost entirely inaccurate. So for example, I'll go back. Last year on my predictions list, I predicted a 100% chance of seeing Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. That was true. A 100% chance of Splatoon 2. And I believe we saw that. I can't actually remember. Mario Odyssey DLC, I gave a 50% chance. That did not happen. Bayonetta 3, 50%. Unfortunately, didn't happen. Metroid Prime Trilogy port, I said 60%. And it didn't happen. Fire Emblem 80% chance. Sure enough, Fire Emblem showed up. Pokemon 85%. That didn't show up. Yoshi 85%. I believe it did show up. And then Animal Crossing 65%, which didn't show up. And then I got extremely ambitious with my hopes. 40% chance of Metroid Dread. Didn't happen. 50% chance of Metroid Prime 4. We kind of all knew that wouldn't happen. 20% chance for Mario Galaxy 3. Unfortunately not. 60% of Luigi's Mansion 3. Didn't happen. I'm not even sure. I can't remember if it was even announced at that time. 40% chance of New Super Mario Bros. I believe that was actually announced in a direct afterwards. I can't remember. Then a non-Nintendo game was a 25% chance to see a port of The Evil Within. That didn't happen. 10% chance of a port of Mario Slam Basketball or a remake or something. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. 30% of a new game from Retro Studios. Didn't happen. 50% chance of Mario Maker. Didn't happen. And then my wild card, which never even had a chance of showing up, was Beyond Two Souls, a port of it for the Switch. Didn't happen. So now, as you can see, I get quite ambitious. And I enjoyed doing that last year, so I'm going to have fun doing it again this year. Splitting it into predictions and then hopes and then finding a wild card. So there's going to be a lot of... My predictions here this time are mostly 100% because a lot of these titles we know are going to show up. So without further ado, I'm going to jump straight into it. So I predicted a 100% chance of Luigi's Mansion 3. Not only because it's been, I believe, March, or was it the Game Awards we saw Luigi's Mansion? I don't even remember. But it's been a good couple of months. It's probably coming out in October, and I believe they actually announced on their E3 page they would be showing the game. So that's definitely showing up, I believe. Animal Crossing, 100%. I mean, surely. I'm not a fan of this franchise, but, you know, I do believe this game has to show up now because it was announced, I think, even before this year. I think they've gone nearly half a year without showing anything in this game, and this is somehow a well-loved franchise. So, I mean, E3 seems too big an occasion to show it, but if they haven't shown it yet, E3. And then 100% chance of Astral Chain, which is a game I'm really absolutely looking forward to. Coming from Platinum Games, the developers of Bayonetta, and it just looks absolutely fantastic. We saw it in the last proper Nintendo Direct, and it just looks like absolutely amazing, and I believe they said they'd show more of it at E3, so I'm really hoping we'll see that. I'll be disappointed if we don't. Then a 20% chance of Pokemon Sword and Shield, because there's a Direct coming out there on Wednesday for it, which is weird because they just did a Mario Direct, and now they're doing a Pokemon one just before E3, so these are titles they said were going to show up at E3, so if they're showing things on them now, that means they must have something else pretty big to show for E3. So it's interesting, and it's weird getting so many directs, especially very close to E3, right before E3, literally 5 days before. But anyways, 15% chance of Mario Maker 2 because they literally showed everything on the game. I don't think we're going to see it again. 60% chance of Fire Emblem, the Three Houses. We saw it last E3, and I believe we saw it in the last proper direct. I say proper directions and direct that showed other games. And finally a 100% chance, I believe, of seeing DLC for Smash Bros. Because they have 5 DLC. We've gotten one of them. And I feel like E3 would be the perfect time to showcase another one. So who knows? Then in my hopes, some of these I could have made it onto the predictions list, but Bayonetta 3, 50%. We didn't see it last year. Bayonetta, based on Bayonetta 2, really, that was announced in, I believe, E3 2013 or 20. It was announced toward the end of 2012, I believe, and then it was shown at E3 2013. Came out in about September 14. Whatever, I'm mixed up in the dates of that, but it wasn't. It came out like a year after it was shown at E3. We haven't seen anything of this game. I did believe it was going to be 100% at E3. There was a good chance because, a bit like Metroid, I was 100% thought it was coming this year until, Metroid was restarted all over again, so that's definitely not coming up. Likewise, Bayonetta 3 apparently Bill Trinen confirmed to be 2019 release. Now their website moved it to be a to be announced date, and they said they won't. If it's a be announced date, it means it's coming out later than they thought. It's been delayed, and considering in the last direct when they announced Astral Chain, they only said the game Bayonetta was coming along really well. It suggests to me they're not ready to show things. But I gave it a 50% chance because I believe even if it's next year, they'll have to show something because it's been a year, nearly. It was E3. It was the Game Awards 2017, so just over a year and a half since we've seen this game. So surely they can't keep us waiting. I'm really hoping. I'll be very disappointed. I was very upset last year I wasn't there, and the same in the last direct. 30% chance of the Metroid Prime trilogy. See, I always get excited and at the same time hate putting Metroid on these lists because I know, just like every E3, it's a case of you're getting excited for it, but you're going to be so disappointed. I had to think about this one because, Metroid Prime 4 out the way, with the 3DS officially over, there's not going to be Metroid Dread or anything on the 3DS, so that's why that's not here. So if there's going to be any Metroid at all, it feels like it's going to be the trilogy because I can't imagine importing any other game to the Switch because it doesn't seem to me at the moment any reason. And with Metroid Prime 4 coming out, see, I put a 30% chance because it didn't show up last E3, and if it's so far off, I'm wondering they probably won't show it now. But then again, they might, since just to keep people going until then. But at the same time, can they really port it to the Switch because of Metroid Prime 3 Corruption's motion controls are based entirely on the Wii? They would literally have to redesign that game from the ground up. And I don't know, in the 3 years of the Switch's life cycle so far, if they really had enough time to do that. But I don't know, because it could be a case where they thought Prime 4 was coming 2019, so they worked on the trilogy to come out in 2019 as well. But I don't know. With Prime 4 way off, and with the difficulties of porting the trilogy, it doesn't seem likely. And given Nintendo's track record of keeping Metroid fans waiting, my hopes for Metroid are they're at the lowest they've ever been, to be honest. I was getting excited for Metroid Prime 4 this year, but we know for definite that's not coming up. Even my wild card is not going to be Metroid Prime 4 because there's just not a hope at all in any way. They might mention it once if they announce the trilogy, but they're not going to show anything or say anything about Metroid Prime 4. In the ideal world they will, and I hope I'm wrong, but realistically that is not happening. And I feel like we're going to go another year or two without anything Metroid related. Pessimistic, but I've been a fan for like 6 years now, and I'm just used to not seeing anything at E3. Only 2 E3s in those 6 years have had any Metroid news, and so, yeah, I'm not hopeful at all. Then, The Evil Within 3, a non-Nintendo game, the 10% chance because The Evil Within 2 came out in 2017. Evil Within 1 came out in 2014. Then it was 17 before 2 was announced and released. So I'm going to base that, okay, 2 came out in 17, 2020 would be the release of Evil Within 3. But given that there's not been any DLC for 2, it could come out sooner, but at the same time, based on sales, I'm really worried. So between sales of the game and being so close to release Evil Within 2, I don't think they'll have time to showcase or announce it. And it's the type of game they'd announce only if they had gameplay at the show. So that's pretty low. And then, this is one I also had to think a lot about. A 17% chance for Breath of the Wild 2. We know they're making a Breath of the Wild sequel because they announced it. The next big Zelda game would follow in the footsteps of Breath of the Wild. I know many of you would probably think it won't be a sequel, but considering, Ganon was destroyed forever at the end of the game, and with the divine beasts at the end and how they stopped working, especially Varus, I'd suggest there's something bigger going on and that there's another story there. So, plus with the world beyond Hyrule, there's so many things they can do in terms of world exploration and then building up the new models and stuff. So they might incorporate the old Zelda style with the new format. And it has been 2 years since Breath of the Wild. The DLC, I believe, came out in 2017. So, well, actually, it came out toward the start of 2018, now that I think about it, because of the Game Awards. But they would have had time. I think maybe they only started working on the game after the DLC, so they might not have anything, and they might not announce it if it's that early in development, because this could take like 3 or 4 years to make, assuming all goes well, and especially if it's toward the end of the Switch's life cycle as well. But I don't know. See, the Wii got 2 Zelda games. It got a port of Twilight Princess, and then it got a brand new game, which was Skyward Sword. The Switch got Breath of the Wild, and we also know Link's Awakening is coming. That's a 100% chance. I didn't mention that earlier, but that is definitely coming. So, I don't know. Breath of the Wild 2 seems very slim, but I'd love to see it. Even if they just casually mention it without showing anything, like they did with Pokemon in 2017. Next, my lowest prediction yet. 5% chance for a new Mario & Luigi game. Either a brand new or a port of an older one. So, Bowser's Inside Story just came out. Bowser's Inside Story plus Bowser Jr.'s Journey on the 3DS. The 3DS was literally just announced to be finished, dead, right after that game came out. That, combined with the sales, makes us think, okay, they just brought one out, literally. They're not going to have another one prepared already, and they might not be motivated in terms of sales to make another one. So it could be actually 2020 before E3 of next year that they actually announce a new Mario & Luigi game. And we just got one, so I don't know why I'm dying for another one, but it would be nice. I just thought I'd throw it down anyway because it is my hopes list after all. And then finally, this might be ambitious, but 25% chance for Golden Sun. First game came out on the Game Boy, second and third on the DS. Nothing since. This is tricky. It's an old franchise. I've never played any games, but from what I've seen, they look pretty cool, and I would be interested in getting them. But considering they haven't made a game in a while, and it's a pretty successful RPG franchise, and it's reasonably apparently well known, more so than I originally thought among fans. And people do want a Golden Sun 4, so the Switch would be a great outlet for that. But at the same time, I don't know. Reggie did say last year they're working on putting their main games, their main flagship titles on the Switch. Golden Sun is just kind of a throwaway title, so that's probably not going to show up. But I put it as 25% chance, considering the time gap to the last one and the sudden demand for another RPG game. I could have, thinking of that now made me think of Paper Mario. I would have put that down, except for some reasons Mario Luigi, they just had a crossover, and Paper Mario hasn't had a game since 2015. I don't know if that's dead, or they're going to just continue with one RPG franchise of Mario and Luigi or Paper Mario going forward, but yeah, Paper Mario I'm pretty sure is not going to show up. Which is weird. You think I would have put that in the place of Mario and Luigi, but Yeah. Finally, this is going to be the most ambitious wildcard prediction anyone has ever had for E3. Well, in terms of Nintendo, I know, okay, maybe Beyond Two Souls last year was way more ambitious and hopeful than this. But for some reason, I'm not a fan. I've never played any games, but I have it in my head. I can see a situation, probably because Pokemon and Mario Maker were just um, showcased hugely, and that they might have something big to show. The most massive title I believe they could floor everyone with this year isn't Metroid, isn't Breath of the Wild or whatever. F-Zero. Now, F-Zero hasn't had a game in 15 to 20 years. Why? I have absolutely no idea. The last one sold really well on the GameCube, and it has a pretty strong fan base, and they're all passionate and stuff, but they haven't shown a game in years. The Switch seems like the perfect time to do that because they're not busy with different, like the Wii, where they had so many different things to think about, so many different games to bring on. They were so busy with other games, and the Wii U were failed, and no one wanted to risk anything. So the Switch being the right balance, I could see this could be the grand return. I can imagine a situation where they announce this and everyone loses their minds. Nintendo sometimes have that title. It was Metroid Prime 4 and 17. They didn't have anything last year other than Smash, to be honest. So, F-Zero, I know I could have put Golden Sun there easily, or Metroid Prime Trilogy, but F-Zero would get more of a response. It would sell units like crazy. More so than Metroid, because even though both are niche franchises, Metroid is kind of expected at this point, since we know Prime 4 is coming. People are going to expect a trilogy and stuff, so people are already kind of holding out for that. F-Zero would just blow everyone away, and they would win E3 very easily with that. It's not a massive franchise, it's niche, but just the idea that Nintendo brought it back all of a sudden without any warning, I think would really just blow everyone's minds away. So yeah, that's really it. That's my predictions for E3 2019. Let me know down below in the comments. What are yours? Do you agree with my list and my percentage chance of seeing them appear? What are your hopes and predictions? What are your wild cards? Do let me know down in the comments below. It'd be interesting to read. Now, I just remembered that I could have put Mario Galaxy 3 down. I didn't because at this point, I don't know if they're working on like a Mario Odyssey 2. I could have put Mario Galaxy 3 down, but I didn't because it didn't seem worthwhile. A bit like Beyond Two Souls, it seemed too far-fetched, which is weird because I put down F-Zero and that's really far-fetched, but I tried to make this more realistic so I'm not disappointed. I knew last year I wouldn't get half these titles because I knew Smash was the only game, the main game they were going to focus on last year. Daemon X Machina, I believe, is coming out this summer, so they've shown a bit of that. There's a demo out, so I don't think that's going to be at E3. And yeah, I think that's all the titles I wanted to cover. Next time you'll see me will be at E3 or after E3, and I hope we'll have plenty to talk about. I hope at least one of my hopes will come up because, to get that would just be insane. To see Bayonetta and Metroid Prime would be incredible. And F-Zero, another thing I forgot to mention was how there was that game, Fast RMX, that was like one of the launch titles for the Switch, done in the exact same style as F-Zero, really successful, pretty good response, so that might help toward the development of that. Who really knows? And since the F-Zero fandom has been like quiet for a long time, it gives Nintendo the perfect opportunity to develop a game in secret and drop it. So who knows? Yeah, that's it. That's the last I wanted to say. Hopefully we all have a really good E3 this year. Originally I was predicting it would be entirely focused on Pokemon since they didn't show anything. This is before the Direct. But now that they've shown a lot on Pokemon, they've shown most of their predictions here. Let's see, we've seen Astral Chain, we've seen a lot of Pokemon and Mario, and Fire Emblem. So 4 of 9 titles here. Right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 titles rather. We've seen a bit of, so it's up in the air. They could really blow us away this year, or disappoint us as they usually do. That's more likely, but who knows? I'm really holding out this year, but I'm going to leave it there. Hopefully, fingers crossed, E3 goes as well, and we get Metroid. Not a hope or prediction, but it's something I'm wishing for in any shape or form at this stage, to be honest. Even another pinball game would be enough. I hope they don't do that, to be honest. Anyway, thank you all for watching, and please subscribe. Nova Scores out.